Welcome the night and its
Billionaire's
dreams.
mother pretends to be a maid to test son's fiancée Margaret Blackwood. A self-made billionaire and the formidable head of Blackwood Enterprises was no stranger to the ruthless nature of people when money was involved. She had built her empire through grit and intuition, and nothing escaped her keen eyes. When her only son, Daniel, introduced her to his fiancée, Elena, Margaret's instincts buzzed with unease. Elena was beautiful, poised, and seemingly perfect. But was she genuine? Or was she another person blinded by Daniel's wealth and status? Margaret devises a plan to find out. Disguising herself as a housemaid named Maggie, she entered Daniel and Elena's luxurious penthouse under the pretense of being a temporary replacement for their usual staff. Margaret wore a plain uniform, hid her refined demeanor, and adopted the humble mannerisms of someone accustomed to serving others. Daniel, unaware of his mother's plans, welcomed Maggie without a second thought, trusting Elena would treat her kindly. The test begins. At first, Elena seemed polite but distant. She relied on Maggie for her work, yet there was a subtle dismissiveness in her tone. Margaret observed her closely, noting how Elena treated the other staff. One morning, Margaret intentionally spilled tea on the carpet to see how Elena would react. Instead of offering to help or reassure her, Elena sobbed in irritation. "Can't you be more careful?" Elena snapped. "Do you know how expensive this rug is?" Margaret apologized profusely, bowing her head. Elena waved her off without a second glance, muttering under her breath about incompetent help. Margaret's suspicions deepened. She continued her charade, setting subtle traps to reveal Elena's true nature. When Margaret accidentally overheard Elena gossiping with her friends about how she planned to upgrade Daniel's wardrobe in social circles after their marriage, her heart sank. A moment of truth. One evening, Margaret pretended to struggle carrying a heavy tray of dishes. As she stumbled, the tray clattered to the floor. Daniel, who had just returned home, rushed to help, but Elena stayed seated, sipping her wine. "Honestly, Maggie," Elena said, shaking her head, "can't you handle something so simple?" Daniel frowned. "Elena, she's clearly struggling. Are you okay, Maggie?" Margaret nodded, her voice shaking. "I'm fine, sir, thank you." The incident solidified Margaret's doubts about Elena. She decided it was time to reveal the truth. The revelation. The next morning, Margaret entered the penthouse no longer as Maggie, the maid, but as Margaret Blackwood, the billionaire matriarch. Dressed in a sleek black suit, she commanded the room with her presence. Elena's eyes sharpened in shock as she realized who Margaret truly was. "Maggie?" Elena stammered. "No," Margaret said firmly. "Margaret Blackwood, Daniel's mother." Elena's face flushed as she tried to recover. "I didn't know. If I had known, you would have treated me differently?" Margaret interrupted, her voice cold. "Elena, kindness and respect should not depend on someone's status or wealth. I wanted to see your true character, and I have." Turning to Daniel, she added, "Son, love is not about appearances or convenience. It's about integrity, compassion, and partnership. I hope you choose wisely." The aftermath. Daniel, heartbroken and disillusioned, ended the engagement. Although it hurt him, he trusted his mother's judgment and saw the truth in her words. Elena left, and Margaret embraced her son, vowing to help him find someone who loved him for who he was, not what he had. Months later, Daniel met someone who treated everyone, regardless of status, with genuine kindness. Margaret, watching from afar, smiled, knowing her son had finally found true happiness. After breaking up with Elena, Daniel became quieter. Although he tried to act strong on the outside, Margaret knew that his heart was deeply hurt. As a mother, she could not stand to see her son suffer. Margaret decided to temporarily put aside her work at Blackwood Enterprises to spend more time with Daniel. The two of them often went for walks in the park near their home. Margaret told Daniel about the difficult days when she started building her career, about the mistakes, failures, and friends who left when she had nothing left. "You know," Margaret said, her eyes distant, "I used to believe that the only strength I needed was money and power. But after all, I realized that what really kept me going were the people who stood by me unconditionally." Daniel was silent, looking at the deep blue sky. He knew his mother was right, but his heart needed time to believe again. Fateful encounter. One day, while jogging in the park, Daniel accidentally bumped into a girl holding a large bouquet of flowers. They both fell down, flowers scattered everywhere. "Oh my gosh, I'm sorry." The girl panicked, bending down to pick up each flower. Daniel chuckled. "It's okay, it's my fault." He helped her gather the flowers, and through their conversation, he learned that her name was Anna, an elementary school teacher who loved her job and a simple life. Anna didn't realize that he was the son of one of the most powerful women in the world. She only saw a kind man, with a warm smile, but hidden sadness. From that day on, Daniel and Anna often met in the park. She told him about the pranks of her students, about her dream of opening a free learning center for disadvantaged children. Anna's sincerity and enthusiasm gradually dispelled the darkness in Daniel's heart. Meeting mother. After a few months, Daniel decided to take Anna to meet his mother. He knew that Margaret was important to him, and if Anna was really the one he wanted to spend the rest of his life with, she needed to get her approval. Margaret met Anna in the family garden. Anna walked in with a natural smile, not showing any nervousness or trying to impress. "I'm so glad to meet you, Aunt Margaret," Anna said, her eyes shining. "Daniel has told me so much about you. I admire what you've done." Margaret smiled, but still observed the girl in front of her carefully. After a while of chatting, she asked a meaningful question. "If you found out that Daniel was not the heir to Blackwood, but just a normal person, would you change your opinion of him?" Anna smiled, her eyes sincere. "To be honest, I didn't know much about Blackwood before I met Daniel. To me, he was someone who always listened, cared, and made me feel safe. I love him for who he is, not for anything he has." Anna's answer pleased Margaret. She looked at Daniel, her eyes shining with happiness. True happiness. As time passed, Daniel and Anna got married in a simple but cozy ceremony with the presence of family and close friends. Margaret, in the role of mother, not only witnessed but also felt the complete joy of seeing her son finally find true happiness. As Daniel and Anna exchanged vows, Margaret whispered to herself, "You made the right choice, Daniel. True love always finds a way to appear, no matter the circumstances." The story ends with Daniel and Anna hand in hand, starting a new life, full of love and sincerity, while Margaret, from afar, smiled and knew that she had fulfilled her mission as a mother. After their wedding, Daniel and Anna decided to leave the hustle and bustle of the city to live in a small house in the suburbs. They did not want the glare of fame and money to overshadow the simple happiness they were building. Anna continued her teaching job, while Daniel, although still holding a position at Blackwood Enterprises, chose to work remotely to have more time for his family. Their life revolved around simple things: peaceful mornings with a cup of coffee, sunset walks together, and times they planted trees together in the small garden behind the house. Margaret's transformation. Margaret, after witnessing the change in her son, also began to look back at her life. Although she was a strong and successful woman, she realized that most of the time in the past, she was only focused on building her career and forgot the value of family moments. One day, she called Daniel and Anna to the Blackwood mansion. "I wanted to do something meaningful," she said. "I thought it was time for me to give back some of my success to society." Margaret decided to set up the Blackwood Children's Fund, a charity that supports education for poor children around the world. She asked Anna to be an advisor to the fund, leveraging her experience and passion for education. Anna was moved and felt honored to be part of such a noble cause. Lessons from life. Margaret gradually became a different kind of role model, not only a successful businesswoman, but also a woman with a big heart. She regularly held experience-sharing sessions with young women, encouraging them not only to pursue success, but also to appreciate family and self-worth. Her story of Maggie the Maid became a popular lesson in her lectures. She tells the story not to criticize Elena, but to remind everyone, how you treat those who can't give you anything is a true reflection of who you are. A full life years later, Daniel and Anna welcomed a beautiful baby girl named Lila, which means rebirth and hope. Lila was a new joy for the whole family, especially Margaret. She spent more time with her granddaughter, telling her stories about the Blackwood family, her journey, and the simple yet powerful love her parents had for each other. One summer evening, as Margaret was putting Lila to sleep, Daniel and Anna sat beside her, listening. Looking at her son, daughter-in-law, and granddaughter, Margaret smiled softly. She knew that her greatest asset was not Blackwood Enterprises, but this family, a family she had built with all her heart, sincerity, and lessons from her past mistakes. The story ends not only with the happiness of a family, but also with the message that true love and kindness are the most lasting values, surpassing all material things or fame.